Hey friends, welcome to our Wednesday night story time. We're going to continue our series on Bible stories about Jesus. And tonight we're going to learn about one of Jesus's good friends. He was called a disciple, and his name is Peter. Peter loved to fish, and he did that as a job for a really long time. And then until Jesus came, and he said, in our Bible verse today, which is Matthew 4:19, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And we're going to kind of find out what that means a little bit when we learn about Peter. And it's called the friend who forgives, because Peter knew a lot about making mistakes, but he was the best friend, or he was best friends with Jesus, who is great at forgiving. So let's find out what Peter did to need forgiveness. A long time ago, there was a man named Peter who was best friends with Jesus. Peter was a fisherman. He was strong and brave, but he often said the wrong thing. Do you ever talk before you think? That's what Peter did, again and again and again. Peter loved fish. In fact, one day he and Jesus had fish for breakfast. Fish for breakfast? That's weird. But we'll save that part for the end so we can hear a little bit more about that later. On the day when Jesus first called Peter to follow him, can you guess what Peter was doing? That's right, he was fishing. "Follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men," Jesus told him. Can you imagine that? Peter fishing for men? Like, is he going to catch them all in his net in the water? Jesus explained that just as Peter liked to search for fish, Jesus had come to search for people who needed forgiveness. So he wasn't trying to catch them in his nets. Peter loved being friends with Jesus. He saw Jesus do a lot of amazing things. One time, Peter's mother-in-law was sick, and Jesus healed her. Another time, Peter was about to drown in a storm, but Jesus saved him. Slowly, Peter realized that Jesus was more than just a friend. He was God, and he would never let Peter down. Sometimes Peter let Jesus down, like the time Jesus explained to his friends that he had to die on a cross, but that he would come back to life to offer forgiveness. "All of you will run away. You're just going to say you're not my friends," Jesus said. Peter spoke up right away, like he did a lot. "I will never do that," he said. But Jesus told him, "Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say 3 times that you're not my friend." I would never do that. Jesus is my best friend, Peter thought. When soldiers came to take Jesus to the cross, Peter pulled out his sword to stop them. Put your sword away, Peter," Jesus said. "My Father says this must happen." Jesus let the soldiers take him into a courtyard to stand trial. Peter followed from far away. "Aren't you one of Jesus's friends?" a young girl asked as she opened the gate for Peter to enter the courtyard. "What do you think?" Peter said. "No, I don't know Jesus." It was a cold night, so Peter walked over to a fire where some people were warming themselves. "Aren't you one of Jesus's friends?" someone asked Peter. "Now what do you think?" Peter said. "No, I don't know Jesus." Then someone stepped forward and looked closely at Peter. "Yes, you are one of Jesus's friends, aren't you?" he said. "Now what do you think?" Peter said. Surely he told the truth this time. "No, I don't know Jesus." Right then, at that very moment, a rooster crowed. Jesus turned around and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said. Before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you are not my friend. Peter was so sad. He knew he had failed Jesus again and again and again. He didn't just need to find other people who needed forgiving. He needed forgiving too. Peter felt terrible. He ran out of the courtyard and he cried and cried and cried. Peter had let his best friend down, and now it was too late because the soldiers had taken Jesus away to be killed. But Peter didn't stay sad because Jesus didn't stay dead. 3 days later, it was the first Easter Sunday when Jesus came back to life to offer people forgiveness. But would he forgive Peter for failing so badly? One day, Jesus went looking for Peter, and where do you think he found him? That's right, Peter and his friends were fishing again. Jesus called to them from the beach. Peter jumped out of the boat and into the water and rushed to the beach to see Jesus. And this was where Jesus and Peter had fish for breakfast. Fish for breakfast? That's weird. Peter was so happy to see Jesus alive, but would Jesus forgive him? Peter wasn't so sure. Maybe Jesus wouldn't want to talk to him. Maybe Jesus wouldn't want to be friends with him. But yes, Jesus did want to talk to Peter, and Jesus did want to forgive Peter. Wow. And since Peter had said he didn't know Jesus 3 times, Jesus gave Peter the chance to say 3 times, I love you, Jesus. That's how Peter became a forgiven fisher of men. Peter spent the rest of his life telling people about his best friend, Jesus. He told them that if they put their trust in Jesus, he would forgive them again and again and again. That's because Jesus was Peter's best friend. He forgave him again and again and again. And if you trust in Jesus, he will forgive you too, again and again and again. It's a pretty cool story about a guy that he really did some stuff that could have been seen as very bad because he knew Jesus as a best friend and he saw Jesus do some amazing miracles. And yet when it came down to time for Jesus to be arrested, Peter would not admit that he was friends with Jesus. But Jesus did not hold that against Peter, and he loved Peter enough to forgive him when he saw him again. And Jesus will always forgive us for what we do too, as long as we come and ask for his forgiveness. And that's why Jesus is so awesome, because he loves us so much. And he, in turn, wants us to turn around and forgive others. And he wants us, just like our Bible verse says, to come and follow him, and he will make us fisher of men. And like it said, we're not going to catch them in a net. We're not going to catch them on a fishing pole. It means we're going to draw them in and search them out to show them Jesus' love and his forgiveness so that we can do that for him here on earth. And that's so awesome. I thank you for joining me again tonight. Next week, we will read another one of our Bible stories that talks about Jesus and see what else we can find out. I hope you all have an awesome week. We will see you this Sunday, 9:45 on Ridge Runners Online. Mr. Nathan will be leading you. And at 10:30 at Brookstone School, we'll have Ridge Runners in the gym, and then big service for everybody upstairs. We love you guys. Have a great week.